Now, well, starting with another subunit in the credit second is rainwater harvesting. Basically, this part of this credit second has been divided into three components. Number one is rainwater harvesting components. Number three, it is types and the importance of rainwater harvesting, and we will be taking it one by one. Now, when we talk of this rainwater harvesting, it involves the capture, storage, and use of rainwater and a runoff for domestic or agricultural purposes. Essentially, rainwater harvesting systems use the principle of conserving rainwater where it falls, and in the process recharging the groundwater as well. Now, you see, in urban areas, rainwater can be collected whenever it falls on the rooftops of our houses and buildings. It can be collected from the roof, paved and unpaved areas of a house, a block of flats, a colony, a park, a playground, parking areas, schools, office complexes, lakes, and in tanks. There, this is falling of rain. It is collected in this conduit. This is called as a conduit or conveyance. We call it a conveyance. And from this point, it enters into this pipe, and from here, it enters into this water tank. And this is the model of a simple rainwater harvesting system. There are basically two ways of using the harvested rainwater. Number one, storage in receptacles, and number two, it is recharge into the aquifer. Now here I have mentioned few of the basic elements which are common to almost all rainwater harvesting systems. You will see the picture here. Here, this is the picture. This is the again I will tell you, this is the simple model of this rainwater harvesting systems. Now these basic elements, what it includes. Number one, the catchment area where the rain falls. Now this is the, here I have mentioned the roof catchment area where the rain falls. Number two, the conveyance or conduit system that channels the flow of water into a given direction. As you see, once it falls, once this rain falls over here, it is collected, and ultimately it goes from this direction as well, it comes here, from this direction as well it comes here, and ultimately it is collected into this conduit, and from here it enters into this pipe. Now the third point is the first flush. You know what is first flush? It is a valve that ensures that runoff from the first spill of rain is flushed out and does not enter the system and the filter system. What is, I'm sorry, in the meanwhile I will tell you the first flush is a valve that ensures that runoff from the first spill of rain is flushed out and does not enter the system and the filter system. Now here, for what is first flush? Basically all the dust which is present here, all the dust which is present here, when first rain, there is rainfall, all the dust carried either in the rain or which is settled on the rooftop, we ensure that these dust particles, they don't enter into this filter system or into this tank. What we do, we have kept a knob over here, we have kept a knob here. This is the knob. Then there is the rain starts falling, we keep this knob closed so that the water goes here. All the water goes, that for 5 minutes water goes waste. While as after 5 minutes, we just open this tap and we allow this water go into the filter system. Now coming to the next point, that is the storage area, that is consisting of these tanks and receptacles. Now here, this is the storage area where all the water which we receive through this catchment, it is ultimately stored over here. Now coming to another part, the recharge area, where the harvested rainwater is used to replenish the groundwater. Now here you will see some of the water is allowed to go into the groundwater to replenish it. This is basically the common basic elements of rainwater harvesting system. Now coming to the first element, that is the catchment. The catchment is a structure or land area that is used to collect the rainwater and drain runoff. Now this catchment, it could be either paved or unpaved. What is paved area catchments? Paved area catchments, these are smooth surfaces, clean and more impervious to seepage. These surfaces collect greater quantity and better quality of the water. These could be roofs, driveways, parking areas, courtyards and roads. Now, unpaved catchment areas. These catchment areas, these are found in gardens, lawns and playgrounds, and they permit more infiltration and less runoff. These contain more impurities and silt. Water from unpaved areas is mainly used for groundwater recharge. Is it clear? Yes. And coming to the roof catchments. Roof catchments have the maximum runoff and are generally considered clean and safe. However, we have to keep in mind that there are certain possible contaminants. If we see India as a country, roofs in urban areas, they are mostly made of RCC, that means reinforced concrete cement. But there are some also roofs which are laid with galvanized iron sheets. For example, take the case of Kashmir. Or there are some roofs, they are tiles and the slates. And there may be in the rural areas, there are some roofs which are thatched. Good. Whatever strategy for this rainwater harvesting is done, first of all, we have to see the characteristics of the rooftop when we talk of these roof catchments. Now, when we talk of these GI roofs, now if the rain is acidic, metal roofs used in industrial areas or rooftops over here will leach metal into water. Similarly, paints used on metallic roofs may leach out toxic chemicals such as lead or chromium. This is why certain materials must not be used when installing rainwater harvesting system. Are you getting my point? So you have to keep in mind whenever you go for this roof top rainwater harvesting system, you have to just see what is on what surfaces this water first falls, which we call as a catchment, and what will be the fate of the water which enters the conduit system. Similarly, when rainwater is collected in driveways or parking areas, courtyards, or on roads, water is generally conveyed through gully traps, channels, storm water drains, and sometimes collected at the end of a natural slope. This water can be used for groundwater recharge or for non-potable uses such as gardening, etc. can be done. The quality of water collected in these places is not as good as that of a rooftop connection. This is very important. When the water falls on the roads and on the gardens, on the surfaces, on the land, this water receives some impurities and this water does not remain fit for the purpose of drinking, or we can say potable water. Now, another uh, element of this rainwater harvesting system is the conveyance systems. Conveyance or conduit systems, and in common we call the pipe systems, which we install. Direct Each system direct the water flow from the catchment area to the storage area. But very important, a carefully designed and constructed conveyance system can divert more than 90% of all the water that falls onto the roof. And accordingly, we have to do different mechanisms for flat roof conveyance and for what I should say is, sloping roof conveyance systems. Now coming to the filter systems. Now rainwater which is collected is often contaminated with dust. It contains some leaves, it contains some twigs, and it may also contain some bacteria and particulates and dissolved gas. Now it is necessary to install filters both for storage and recharge systems. There are basically several ways of filtering contaminants. We can filter them. There are simple systems that keep out leaves and debris and remove the flush, which I have already discussed, the first flush of rainwater. However, there are certain complex systems. They have installed these filter systems and they also filter bacteria and other dissolved contaminants from the collected water. Now coming to these filter systems, we have storage tanks. They are available in diverse materials ranging from cast iron sheets, PVCs, RCC structures. Storage tanks can also be made of ferrocement, an inexpensive material, especially a thin cement mortar reinforced with wire mesh. One can have more than one storage tank depending upon the site conditions. This also makes it easier for maintenance and repairs as some tanks can be used while the others are shut down for maintenance. There are basically there are several options available to us for the storage of this rainwater which we get. Now coming to another this basic element, it is recharge structures. As all of us know that in urban situations, space is a constant when making storage arrangements. When I talk of this India, the rainy season is very short and this is another factor that does not support storage of large quantities of harvested water. If there is rainfall for 1 month and it is not possible to collect all the water and keep it for another 11 months. Therefore, recharging the aquifer is a better way of harvesting rainwater. Since the water tables are declining and these recharge structures are recharging the aquifers or the groundwater has especially been considered as one of the best method for this harvested rainwater. Now this rainwater may be charged into the aquifers through recharge pits, recharge wells, recharge trenches, and dry dug wells or bore wells. As in the case of storage, there must be a system to filter out sediments and other debris before the water enters the recharge structure. Desilting chambers serve this purpose. Basically, this rainwater harvesting has been expanded. The concept has been expanded and several experiments have been conducted. More and more emphasis has been put on the storage of this rainwater. Now in India, this harvesting water from storm water drains, perhaps we don't have these storm water drains in Kashmir over here. Since it can control the annual flooding in cities, at the same time it can supplement the rainwater collected from rooftops. We know India receives its annual rainfall within a concentrated span of about 3 months. Everyone knows this fact. The rainfall received in this short period is greater than what can be collected through rooftops, and it is not possible to take every drop of rain and for the storage. The runoff from the city roads, drains, creeks and public spaces that receive a large amount of rainfall can be channeled into storm drains to recharge the groundwater. More and more emphasis should be put on to recharge the groundwater. Storm water harvesting schemes are best incorporated within new projects as the costs are substantially lower than retrofitting them into existing systems. Retrofitting, you know what is retrofitting? Retrofitting is basically you install something after the construction, but better would have been whenever you start a new project, the system should be incorporated in the early phase. Good, this storm water management will definitely play an important part in controlling urban floods during monsoon. We have seen that all the roads they are flooded with this rainwater during the monsoon. It is also a good means to dilute pollution of rivers. And I will stop here. Thank you very much. You are all the students are they are informed to put their queries regarding this lecture on the WhatsApp.